Hey everybody, look what I just found on Consciously Enlightened. Now, I know some of you are saying the ones that I posted weren't the best, but these are supposed to be official pictures of the tunnels under the DUMBs connecting to the Walmarts and everywhere else. Says DHS and NSA shutting down Walmarts to create secret tunnel system for diabolical reason. I don't necessarily agree with the title. But this is what the underground tunnels look like. If you've ever been in General Motors or Ford or any of those places, you've walked through these before. I've been in mines hollowed out. I've been in underground facilities like this. I've been in Arizona where those big digger machines were. In fact, when I used to go down to Arizona, and let me just switch to my personal view. One of the things that actually our class did when we were in Arizona, yep, there we go, is one time we actually took a trip to a mine and saw one of those big diggers inside the mine actually burrowing down. It was actually the coolest thing to see when we were in Phoenix. So these big tunnel diggers are pretty big, and I mean I would say they're probably larger than your average house, if not larger, depending on what size they're being used and everything else. And when I first saw the thing, I was probably in about, I'd say, third or fourth grade. So why kids were taken into shady mines to see a giant drill, I don't know. But this was Arizona, and they're heavy for the geology and stuff like that. So this was one of the things back then. So I know from experience that the mines and everything else do exist, and that if you go down or you join General Motors, Lockheed Martin, General Electric, Ford, Chrysler, you name it, they have places just like this. So seeing these do not necessarily mean the tunnels at Walmart. However, they're saying that this is an actual tunnel like the one at Walmart. You've all seen this, I'm sure. I'm going to go ahead and play it if I can. If it leads to anything, I don't know if it does.
But when it comes to this Walmart mystery
I
and
don't want to
all
hear
the
Dabu
suspicion
7. I don't
surrounding
care.
it, and
I just want to see the tunnel.
for your Walmart manager, this will
Yeah,
help
yeah.
you
There we go. There we
identify and report
go.
indicators of
Back.
one in Georgia because it was center to everything. Now you have all this information here talking about these underground connections to these Walmart facilities.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, folks, but
And you
these
can
are
see
actually
in
pretty
this section.
huge. These things here, this picture here does not do these tunnels any justice. I mean, we're talking probably, I would say roughly 25 feet in any direction. That's how big the drill bit originally would be. At least the ones they used in Arizona. I forget the company that we saw, but they would do giant holes for all sorts of stupid projects people would want. You know, storage units and this and that. People, be companies and stuff. Even back then, they were saying how they were building underground lakes and stuff for people. Like I forget the water manufacturer in Arizona, but it would be like DeSanti or something like that. And they would actually purchase these drillers to go down about 500 to 1,000 feet, and they drill out a pretty good size hole, and they would basically store, you know, lakes, if not oceans of water in these holes. And when the water's needed, they would just, pump it up to the surface where their plant was, and they just draw it out. So when we go into the idea that California is drying up, it's not true. Um, I'm going to say that it isn't drought because of one thing. There's the clouds in the sky are crystal clean. The sky is very, very clear. If there was a drought, it wouldn't be that clear. It would be very, very muggy. The weather would be off the charts, and it's not. I haven't been studying the weather reports in California, but I know that there are certain things that you you have during a drought. What California has is companies that have privatized their entire water systems with underground lakes, rivers, and probably oceans where their fresh water is going. I can almost guarantee it because I've seen some of these digging machines when I was in my younger years. You know, I have family who are engineers. You know, I saw those types of tunnels and stuff like that when I was in my younger years for mines and different things like that. I know what those drills are capable of drilling. I know how many hundreds of feet per hour they can drill. They can have a ocean or a lake drilled under, 500 feet under your feet, drilled out in a month or so. And you and I would never know the difference. Especially if it's like a couple thousand feet across. Psh, they would just come and use explosives. They wouldn't even use those rigs to drill that. For those, you would want something that's like the size of, I don't know, something really big. I mean, it's got to be a huge project in order to bring those guys in. But different companies have different tools, and so this is supposed to be a real picture of the tunnels under Walmart. I know, same thing I'm going to get that I got before. But anyways, I'm just trying to show this just to show that people are showing a little bit more, a little bit more. Do I believe this tunnels under Walmart thing? It's anybody's guess, folks. At this point, it's really anybody's guess. And thank you.